Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Claire Randall has left the country. In this week's episode, Outlander's protagonist sadly decides that she can't spend any more time searching historical records for one James Alexander Malcolm MacKenzie Fraser, then packs up her regret, her massive cloud of 60s hair and her daughter, and hightails it back to America. I'll go into more detail later, but seriously, that more than sums up Claire's portion of the hour. Meanwhile, Jamie's half of the episode spans 8 years and includes accidental pregnancy, a fatal shooting, blackmail and a line uttered by a nearly naked Mr. Fraser that was so meta, it made me laugh out loud. Scotland sadness. Let's do Claire first. The hour opens in 1968 Scotland, and we're back to the just past Rev. Wakefield's funeral era of the season 2 finale. Having theorized that time passes at the same speed in the past as it does in the present, Roger, Brianna, and Claire are devoting all their time to trying to find Jamie in the historical record to better ascertain whether he's alive 20 years after Culloden, August 1766. The trio is having a tough time until Claire spots her husband's name on a list of Ardmere prisoners. So they theorize that he'll likely show up on a ship's manifest somewhere because so many of the prisoners were shipped to other parts, and make a plan to tackle the National Archives. In the interim, Bree teases Roger that Mrs. Graham's granddaughter, Fiona, who's been keeping house for him since her grandmother died, is sweet on him. But he awkwardly sputters that she's not his girlfriend, and a pleased Bree flirts with him a little. Later, Bree and Rog sit in front of the fire, and she voices her worries about her mom finding her bio dad. What if something happens to her there? What if she can't come back? What if she doesn't want to? She wonders. He confesses that he too kinda doesn't want Claire to find any mention of Jamie, because once we do, you'll go back to Boston. And that earns him a sudden, passionate smooch from the redeed. Meanwhile, Fiona returns the pearls, Jamie's wedding gift, ye ken, that Claire gave to Mrs. Graham after her return from the past. And Joe calls, wondering when Lady Jane is going to return to Boston. He gets a very vague response. Then Claire, Roger, and Brianna travel to the National Archives and find that the manifests there stop before the time Jamie would have traveled. For Claire, it's a sign to stop looking. At a bar that evening, Roger tries to buck up Dr. Randall by pointing out that other repositories of information may prove more fruitful. But Claire is distraught, remarking that she's chasing the ghost Mrs. Graham warned her to forget. And while a female performer recites Robert Burns' the author's earnest cry and prayer in the pub, Claire notes that she used to quote the Freedom and Whiskey Gang Fedgether line to Jamie, then adds that she's done with the search. It's time to go home. The next time we see Claire and Bree, they're on a plane back to the States. Meet Alex MacKenzie. Jamie's chunk of the episode begins at Hellwater in 1756 as the Dunsany family returns from Italy. In addition to Lord and Lady Dunsany, there are 2 young adult daughters, Geneva, who's kind of a haughty bitch, and Isabel, who's much kinder. Jamie is going by the name Alexander MacKenzie there. When Lord Dunsany summons him, he informs Jamie he knows he was a Jacobite, but isn't planning on telling his wife, because they lost a son who was fighting for the British at Prestonpans. The stable hands so detest having to escort Geneva on her rides, they draw straws. And when Isabel overhears Jamie making a comment about her sister's nasty disposition, she's entertained, and she agrees. As the pair chat, Isabel remarks that she's known John Gray since childhood, and I imagine he'll make someone a good husband. Jamie gets a very strange, very knowing look on his face and gently suggests that the Major's passion lies in soldiering. Still, Isabel remains all hard eye emoji about Lord John, and Jamie's like, "Welp, I tried,